You know what? I mean, throughout his career, he's been a center guard. Really, at the end of the day, he's a football player, O-lineman, and he's a smart player on that. Early on, we got Tate reps there. I think that's one of the quickest ways to learn an offense and grow, is if you can do it. And he did a tremendous job in the spring, but at the end of the day, we felt a little bit better with Graham going in there and putting Tate back at guard. That's what he did for 4 years in college, or 5 years, So that's really what it was. He wasn't playing bad or anything like that. But Graham's been a natural center in this league, a very smart player, dependable player. So having him in the room over the years, along with like Frank, it's having two coaches on the field when he was here.
They always say a player makes his biggest leap from year one to year two. I'm just curious what you've seen in Christian. Every time we've talked to Dan, he seemed pretty confident about his ability, the camp that he had. Just curious your perspective of the camp that he had and just how excited you are for him going into year two.
I think just being around the whole time has been better for us, because he missed all camp last year, and then he, really jumped in later in the year and had to work his way back in. But just being around, being able to train, he's done a great job. He's got a great football IQ. You guys hear people talk about FEI, all that. Football IQ is really, it all started in college, I think, with their guys there, Boston College at the time. So he's been great. He's grown. He's still learning. I remind him he's a rookie still, by standards. He hasn't had enough games in the second year, but he's grown as a player. But he sees the field big picture, which is always a great thing when you're a young player, if you can see the whole picture and just not, hey, this is my job. But he can focus on a little bit more than just, hey, I got to block the 3 technique or two technique this week. So, but we'll see. It's a big challenge for all of us this week and for him, and see how he goes.
Quarterbacks are most susceptible, obviously, to pressure up the middle. I mean, given the changes that have happened on the interior, how confident are you in the pass protection in that sector?
It's always protect inside out. I always say the quickest way to the quarterback's through the A gap, I feel good. We get challenged every week. Shep did a good job this year, training camp, OTAs. We get challenged every day with those guys, with their pressures, with their guys up front. So I think as long as we stay technically sound and do our job and fundamentally sound, we'll be fine. The rules are rules. We're going to see something maybe new that they have this week. Always game one. What's the new wrinkle for everybody? And but you stick with your rules and stay sound, and don't always remind these guys. And Graham's really our center. Has never chased ghosts either and stuff like that. And just stay with it, and we can block everything because all our plays, all our protections, all our run games, they have rules. And they could line up in anything they want to do, something they've never shown last year or, never shown at all. But rules take place and just trust what they've been doing, in the training.
Along those lines, Mike in Dallas was moved around a lot. He's a unique player in that regard. Lining up sometimes in the middle, too. Do you anticipate that, they're going to use him in a similar fashion, or given the fact that he doesn't have many reps, though, kind of going into this?
Again, I think the guy's trained his whole career to play football, so, he's got a different jersey on. We're anticipating him to play. Now, how many reps that is, that's on those guys in Green Bay and really Prey himself. He is a good player. He can cause havoc. When he was in Dallas, he can cause havoc. They definitely moved him around there. I would anticipate we're the same way. We have rules, and when they want to move guys or stuff like that, we have certain rules we follow, and he definitely can be a force off the edge or in the middle when they stand up. When he was in Dallas, rushing through the middle of the A gap, but he can be a special player. But we've instead of now facing them once a year, I feel like every year we've played Dallas. Now we get them twice a year, and they have a lot of good players. Can't forget about Gary on the edge. Walker in the middle at linebacker. They have a lot of good pieces. Kenny Clark for years is now down there, and some guys are, we don't have to see him. Oh, we play Dallas again later this year, but he was a heck of a force in the middle, and they gotten a little bit younger inside. But those young guys have gotten better every year too. All those young guys, and I'm sure they've learned a lot from losing Kenny inside. He was that leader inside. So, but leadership kind of moves, and it's probably not outside. As their leaders on defense. So everybody presents challenges. Parsons no different. He's a challenge. Is he going to line up over Panay, Decker, Graham, 3 technique? We'll see how they want to use them. And it's really about how quickly he picks up their system and what do they want to do. But at the end of the day, we've faced him a lot, and he has caused some issues for us, and we've also gotten the best of him too. But he's gotten the best of us too. So it's a battle over there. So it's exciting. He got there. I saw the trade, and I just told our guys, hey, we were going to block him later in the year. Now we get him twice a year.
Just to go back to Glasgow for a minute, you talked about him, never chasing ghosts, and I mean his intelligence kind of speaks for itself. But maybe you can just expand on that a little bit. The experience that he has, being a veteran, how much that just settles everything down in terms of the IDs.
I think it settles the whole offense down. Confidence. It probably starts. Sometimes you say with the quarterbacks, right? They know somebody in front of them can control it, take charge. That's what you want, and. So Goff and him are always on the same page. Anytime somebody had to go down, he always moved right back in there at center, and sometimes, what's your best 5 or 6? Is it better to move 2 parts, So he just calm everybody down and just go with your rules. Like I said, it's the first game of the season. There's going to be something maybe new that we're not prepared for to see, and just don't chase it. As long as we're all on that same page, we can make it right, So, but he's a calming presence for everybody. Guys can, his note taking is one of the best I've been around. And, he really keeps all his old notebooks from last year. They're still stacked up there. So like all his Green Bay notes from last year, he's already referencing, oh, well, we did this last year. Are we doing this again? And they're so detailed out. And he keeps them there for the year. That's how him and I would say Ragnow were. Their books all stayed there for the years, and they just keep it going like a library for them. So, but he's a smart player. He's been in the league for a long time, year 10, I believe this is for him, and he's done it all from right guard, center to left guard. So, I'm glad we slid him back in there. And like I said, Tate was doing great though. Honestly, he was doing great, and we got him younger, which is good for us too.
From your perspective, what is this year about for Giovanni, Manu? And if everything goes according to plan, what can we expect from his growth over the next few months?
He's just every day he's trying to get better. I would say he's come a long ways from last year. He's not to where we want him to be yet, and he's not where he wants to be yet. But the good thing about him is he works hard at it. It's not perfect. The thing is, a lot of people point out always the glaring mistakes, and that's what O-line, especially pass pro, can't. We get beat. There's no way saving us normally. It's just not going to be the case, Maybe the ball gets out in time, but we still got beat. There's nobody, we can't. There's not a back just standing back there waiting for us to get beat and help us out. So that's where it is. He's just being the consistency, and he's gotten more consistent. And in time, we're going to have to count on him somewhere down the line here. I think we're going to have to count on all the guys that we have in our building here, and that the nice thing about the NFL now, there's that practice squad, and you keep vets on the practice squad. So, you got guys like Dan Skipper still here, and those guys we can lean on, Jamarco. But I think Gio, when his time's called, he's going to be ready to play for us, and he's gotten better, and we're looking forward to him contributing this year.
Just mentioned Jamarco, he's been in your program for a year. What did he do to kind of claim that swing spot for you this offseason?
Unfortunately, you can't put everybody on the roster. So he was very consistent. And again, he was one of the guys that came in late, was here all off season, and he was very consistent at playing either tackle spot. And, he's earned it. I think everybody in this building, practice squad or roster, earned their right to be here. It's not a charity. Coach isn't going to hand it out. We're not going to hand it out. But he went and he earned that spot. And, if you look at our roster, how it's compiled, there's 9 guys on the roster for the O-line. So I always tell those guys every year when we start this training camp or the process is, man, my job is get us right, Detroit Lions right, you guys, but, man, get you a job. If it's not here, it's with 31 other teams and hopefully on a roster somewhere. We'd love to have them all back, in which we were able to keep a lot of guys back on practice squad, but those guys that are in that, holding, we're going to need them. We're going to need Skip. We need Nice, all those guys.
Said he wanted to get bigger and stronger this offseason. Did you see that? Did it show up? And I guess, how does a guy like him get better?
Every day he's training. He's a special guy. He's coaching. I don't know if anybody noticed, but even in preseason games when he's not playing, he made sure he had an earpiece and he got the play call. And he got to the iPads before I got to him. And he's already coaching the guys. So as a player, he's always coaching, and that's his goal is always to be, he's a good player. He's a great player at times too. He wants to be great. And he has that drive to be great, and he knows he's not perfect. And that's what's fun to coach him about. Like yesterday, we had practice, not in pads. We worked a couple combinations. He didn't feel right. He was like, no, I need to go again. I need to go again. And he went 3 or 4 times in a row, where other players might be like, I'll get it later. That's what makes him great. Like today, watching and there, he's watching individual drills. He's watching himself on his sets, his pass sets. And this is individual. This isn't even going against anybody. Actually hitting a med ball. But he's watching himself. That's what makes him special. So bigger and stronger. I don't know how much stronger you can get, but you're always growing and maturing. But he's in a great spot, and I love being where he's at as a player and also as a mentor to these guys.
I think versatility is so important, particularly for backups. I'm just curious, what goes into deciding whether a guy can be a center? A guy like Coyote or Moody, like why don't those guys do center at this stage of their career? Is it too big of a challenge?
Yodi is my emergency tackle center, left tackle. I tell him that all the time. He's actually done it in practice one time last year. We were down so many bodies. I'm like, hey, you're going to play scout team center. And he did. He goes, wow, it's not as easy as I thought it was. But for us, at least, center position, you got to the smarts, the thinking, the quick thinking. There's that. That's probably number one for us. But then the agile, there's a lot of stuff body-wise. You're closer to the ball. Can you reach shades in this league? That's one of the hardest things to do. Can you reach a 2-eye? Can you reach those shades? But the thinking, can I get the snap? Can I process fast enough? And guys that can process fast enough and the picture changes, how quickly you can process it. It's just like a quarterback. Can I process it right before the snap, make the right calls? You got to be able to do that. And if you can't do that, normally it's hard to play center in this league anywhere across the league, and that's where sometimes, not saying they just can't be guards, because Yodi is a very smart player. He could process things, but he's best suited for us being guard, swing tackle. But I joke with him, he has taken snaps for me, but he could process. But being a center, you got to be able to process fast. And sometimes you see us break the huddle very fast and get up there and make a call and go. Well, you got to process it and see it all big picture wise. So that's the tough thing is in the offseason, or talking to any rookies and guys like Tate. I mean, his interview was great. He could process, put them under pressure, how quick he can fire it out. If you install something, how fast they get it back to you. If they got to think, I joke with them all the time, delay a game, timeout, but make you guys think fast. And that's what centers have to be able to do. Just like Jarrett dropping back, it's got to distinguish cover 2, cover 3, fire zone, all that.